My name is Matt Kahn, a professor of art at this esteemed university. I'm wearing hearing aids, and my students tell me that when I wear hearing aids and I speak, I'm the only one who hears me. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Just a few days ago, the members of the loft, Rolf's other home, met with champagne and seized candy to toast him and to celebrate his existence. And it was in that context that I was caused somehow to remember the day long ago when Bob McKim brought Rolf by my office to meet me. Now, my office, as most of you know, is a seminar room with one little window in it, and it's a dark place, but that day it was not a dark place. I'm sorry. He beamed, he smiled. His warmth was just pervasive. He lit the room up like no technology he could come up with would ever do a better job at. And that quality of smile, that warmth, that embrace, would continue for many, many years. But there's so much more. There's so much more. He could be tough. He could cut through an awful lot of crap. He could say to a student who wanted a lot of feedback on a very little object or statement, he could say, well, show me 2 or 3 things and perhaps I'll be able to like one of them better than the others. There are many variations on that, but that's a fairly good approximation. I also can remember a time when we sat next to each other in Annenberg Auditorium waiting to make presentations on the subject we shared, design, and waiting for someone else to get through with their presentation, someone who represented a quite major school that will remain unnamed, nor will I name the person. But we got a kind of a pro-styling tirade. And Rolf was appalled. And he turned to me and he said, I'm going to change my whole presentation. I have to refute this stuff. Is that remarkable? I can even remember when he said to a student in the program, who probably shouldn't have been a student in the program, he said, you are bereft of language. It's funny now. But that wasn't typical of Rolf. Rolf was reflective. At our meetings, he would rarely speak first. He listened, he thought, he questioned, and he spoke. He was so much more typically reflective than some of us who tend to work on impulse and regret it later. He, for me, personified the preference I have, at least in others, for someone who is more judicious than judgmental. Rolf was interested in unearthing the questions that were buried under the stereotypes. It's such a noble, proud, and wonderful thing to do, and it's so rare. Rolf's embrace of the visual arts, of course, beginning within his own wonderful skills and vision, was something that, for me, the artist who kind of crept in the back edge of the product design tent and turned the graduate program into a joint program. Can't get some of you to ever use the word, but Rolf was so wonderfully welcoming to the input that I represented, to the personal statement, and to its perhaps controversial emphasis on pride of authorship. Rolf never missed an opportunity to come by any of my visual design classes in the art department on grading day, not to judge, just to enjoy what the students had done. It was a real pleasure to him and a deep gratification to me that he always showed up. Certainly, his commitment to the visual arts is manifest in the unbridled joy, the thrill he feels in the direction, the life direction chosen by his children. Despite, Rolf, the fact that your life was cut so short, I would do something that's part of my heritage, though rarely activated. I would send you off with a Aleichem Shalom, which means go in peace. A peace to which you are entitled, because you knew that your values and your spirit was taken up by so many. And further, that among that group were a few very special people for whom you gave real and genuine meaning to the word mentor.